Does that sound okay? Oh, a little bit of feedback there. Great. Got to test this stuff out, you know. Thanks for coming, everybody. Just a couple of little housekeeping things before we start. I think you all saw where the washroom was on your way in, and that it's just out the hall to your left. If you need to do that. Because we're just us and there's no other audience besides you being the audience for yourselves, when you come up to receive your package, which includes a small gift and your certificate, your graduation certificate, if you could just kind of stop for a moment and just look out at the crowd. Don't rush up and rush back, just so people can see your smiling face and we can take a picture or two, rather than just seeing your back or your shoulder. That would be great. Okay? Thanks for that. So, and Don made it. Yay! He's put on, yay! It's fine, it's good. He's put on thousands of kilometers to be here today. It's great. Thanks, Don. All right, got to get serious, got to read, and take these off. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen people, the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanich nations, and we definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here today. It's always interesting coming across the street from the newest high school in Victoria to the building that housed the oldest high school in Victoria, the first school in Victoria, here at St. Anne's. It's also strange to go from our very sort of open, personalized setting into a place that sort of takes you back in time. And I know that this may even feel, for some people, maybe even, oppressive or uncomfortably heavy. But just remember that we're here, we're using it for our own purpose. It's a beautiful room, and we're very thankful that St. Anne's was actually able to accommodate us today, knowing that not everybody is accommodating things like this right now in the pandemic times. So thank you very much for coming, and make yourself comfortable. It's our space while we're here. As comfortable as you can, spread out 2 meters apart from each other. Okay. Well, graduation marks a time for many people when they really begin to comprehend the uncertain nature of their own future. It can be very disconcerting and usually a little bit invigorating at the same time. Then along came 2020, the year of the uncertain future. So much change in so little time makes it even more difficult to predict what things might look like in the near, let alone distant future. So graduates, I had actually written part of this a few weeks ago, but I did so with this ceremony in mind, hoping that it would be fitting. This is that bit. If you're feeling anxious when you think about an uncertain future right now, be aware of the source of the stress. It's not that the future is less clear now than it ever was. It's that the collective illusion we were under that the future was ever certain has been shattered. So relax. One of the reasons why we created PSII in the first place was out of recognition that the old school system, the one loosely based on an industrial model, was built to equip young people for a limited number of very predictable future pathways. Now, non sequitur, to outer space. Launched September 5th, 1977, the beginning of a typical school year, the Voyager 1 space probe was sent out of Earth's orbit to collect information about the outer solar system. Almost 43 years later, Voyager 1 is now over 22 billion kilometers away from Earth, outside the solar system actually, well beyond what was ever expected of it, and well beyond what it was actually built to do. NASA scientists built Voyager with every contingency in mind, optimistically planning extended missions that could go until 2025. But when asked about its success, one lead NASA scientist who worked on Voyager said, "The fact that Voyager is still operating at all is a very happy accident." I talk about Voyager not just to draw a clumsy comparison between the launch of a probe and the launch of our PSII graduates today, but rather to talk about how different the PSII approach needs to be from how NASA did things, so that long, fulfilling lives are more than just happy accidents. Unlike when the modern school system was created, where the future held a relatively limited and predictable number of options for people in terms of career and life trajectory, the world today is far more broad and far less predictable. So rather than a school system guessing what all people need to learn to serve them for the rest of their lives, knowing that those lives will each very likely go well beyond the edge of anything we know right now, we need a school system that prepares people for whatever they might encounter. At PSII, where learners pursue learning in areas of interest, nudged and scaffolded by teachers along the way, and built on broad transferable skills and competencies, Each person's launch has been tailored to them and to their future life, whatever that might look like. When these PSII grads, you, who, by the way, truly embraced inquiry-based learning, despite moans about portfolio posts and org meetings, bump into aspects of life that they didn't read about in a book or memorize the answer to, it's okay. They know how to think, and they know that there's nothing wrong with not knowing, as long as one has the tools to get their bearings, develop a plan, and step into it, asking good questions along the way. We've seen them do this time and time again, and they got better and better at it. They also got more comfortable with it, and with all of their own idiosyncrasies that require consideration and self-reflection, but not paralyzing self-doubt. I tend to keep these graduation speeches short, as I know what the graduates actually do over the next 70 or 80 years will speak far more eloquently and accurately about their place in the world than any collection of words I might put together, even ones with incredible analogies about space. But what would a speech be without reference to something more philosophical? Don't worry, it will fit. Ludwig Wittgenstein, in his set of essays entitled On Certainty, asked questions about the things people could be certain of. Is there anything we can all be certain exists for all of us, or is everything subjective and individualized? I think that the world events of the past few weeks and months have given rise to that kind of thinking again. Wittgenstein used a riverbed metaphor to describe how he saw it, and I think this metaphor is both accurate and comforting. If each person's life is like wading into a river, because people do not all wade in at the same time or from the same exact place on shore, the water that touches each person's legs is different from that which touches each other person's. They really experience different rivers. This is what life can feel like sometimes, especially when there is disagreement about what is good or bad, how we should view the world, or how we should treat one another. But underneath, there is a riverbed. While that riverbed changes too, it is much more slowly and much more of a shared river wading experience than just the water. It's something everyone can know and experience similarly, as it is mostly the same over a long period of time. If you are wondering how we are all connected, feeling like maybe everyone is ultimately on their own in this world, remember the riverbed. We can always find something in common, and we can always get past the ever-changing water of something shared to something shared underneath. If people focus on the riverbed rather than only arguing about the water that touches them, we will find peace in that shared certainty. So, grads, go out and wade in the river, explore your water, knowing that others are also exploring theirs, and that somewhere under you, you have a riverbed in common. Stay safe. Congratulations.
Hey, everybody. Before I start talking about Riley, I just wanted to make a brief statement about this entire graduating group. This is my 4th year teaching with PSII. Many of today's grads started at PSII at the same time I did. As a result, in my mind, I have marked my growth at the school alongside your growth. When I think about PSII, you are the group of learners that come most strongly to mind. Obviously, we've had other learners and other grads leave the school, and each time it has been an adjustment, not seeing certain familiar faces, not being able to continue conversations and explorations. Every year, though, as long as I've been here, this group, plus or minus a few people, came back. This group of learners has provided me with energy, strength, and confidence in my practice on both my best and my worst days. Excuse me. Next September, I'll have to learn to get along without you. So, although I won't get to say words about each and every one of you, I'm honored to be able to speak about a few of you individually. For the rest, please know that I admire all of you, and I'm going to miss you all very much. Enough about me. This is not my day. This is your day. So let me talk about Riley. Sometimes, as a teacher, you come across learners who challenge every approach to teaching that you present. Riley is one such learner. Not that I think that Riley ever set out to challenge his teachers or to block our plans. I don't think he ever sat at his desk and said to himself, I wonder how I can frustrate their plans today. No, some other process is at work within Riley's thoughts, and although I cannot speak with authority about how or what Riley thinks, I've made some observations over the years. Riley presents as comfortable and confident in himself. This, of course, seems like something we should be happy about, and for the most part, we are. However, there are some interesting side effects to this confidence. Many times I've come to Riley with an idea about how he might spend his day or engage in some learning, or how he might find it beneficial to change gears and explore some other aspect of learning. And just as many times, Riley has responded, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Or some variation on that response. As a result, in trying to figure out how to best support Riley's learning, different strategies had to be employed. But over time, something interesting happened. Riley started to trust the teachers here at PSII. He started listening to suggestions, he started accepting help with subjects and situations, and he started engaging in learning outside his comfort zone. With this came another interesting consequence. Riley became a teacher. The first time I saw this, I was, to say the least, startled. When Riley started at PSII, he had a tendency to work on his own, protect his space, and to impatiently insist on getting his own way. The first time I got to observe him teaching, I found him to be, besides well-prepared and informed, which is what I'd come to expect from Riley, but he was also patient, clear, creative, and adaptable. After seeing this, I started observing Riley in group situations differently. I noted his particular form of leadership, which, although still developing, demonstrated a deep expression of interpersonal learning. Frustrations related to trying to get Riley to engage in learning he wasn't interested in continued, of course, but in this, perhaps Riley knows better than any of us anyway. Regardless, given what he has shown us over the last 4 years, it is clear that when Riley wants to learn something, he will find a way to do so. And he will bring to that learning not only determination and focus, but also creativity and clarity. Riley, I hope you never lose your unique worldview. I've enjoyed being able to work with you and learn from your perspective. Thank you for letting me be even a small part of your journey, and congratulations.
I have the honor of speaking about Umati today. Umati is a speaker of truth, a passionate activist, and an extraordinary artist. They have both a heart that's devoted to creating justice and a mind that understands the subtle aspects of law. They know when the spirit and the letter diverge and where they intersect. Umati is highly attuned to nuance, and when scripting written pieces about themselves, their art, or their thoughts and ideas, they take the time to make sure that their words and their meaning are crystal clear. They speak from the heart. One of the most striking things about Umati for me is who I can be when I'm with them. I work in a profession where words, and using the right words, are very important. It can be quite cerebral. When I'm with Umati, I find that I don't labor to look for the right words, because I know they see to my heart and to my intent. They understand what I mean without me needing to pick through my words like a jeweler sorting stones. That's not to say they don't ask clarifying questions. My explanations can be pretty terrible sometimes. But their questions always show that they're thinking about a subject, whether that be biochemistry, social justice, or literature, at a level of understanding far beyond the years of a typical high school student. These questions give me insight into the way that Umati considers context and how they recognize that information is not just important for information's sake, but in how it relates to the lives people lead. Umati gives me hope that we collectively will learn to acknowledge the meaning and significance of events, and not just the facts of their occurrence. There's great power in Umati's words and in their art. Their strength comes from their intelligence, their commitment to lived truth, and their recognition that there's not necessarily a singular truth, their attention to detail, and their understanding of how little things can have a large impact. They're highly curious and resilient in the face of challenges. They advocate for themselves and for others, and they are skilled at identifying strategies that can be used to improve a situation in a way that demonstrates caring and is rooted in justice. Umati, thank you for your contributions to our PSII community. I'm honored to have walked beside you for this brief time in your life, and I hope that our paths will cross often and joyfully in the future. You worked so hard to be here. Congratulations.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry for using my phone, but why not? The preeminent minimalist filmmaker Robert Brenson, who I'm sure you all know, once wrote, "My movie is born first in my head, but it dies on paper. It's resurrected by the living persons and the real objects I use, which are killed on film. But placed in a certain order and projected to a screen, they come to life again, like flowers in water." Nathan, I don't know if you know the man and his work. I don't. I just found the quote and it sounded cool. But I think you deeply understand what he is talking about. And for those who don't know Nathan, he's a filmmaker and he's a music producer, and these are more than just interests and hobbies. Nathan has been working on his craft, cooking in the lab, as they say in the music business, bringing his artistic visions to life. My time with Nathan has been brief, and as he joined PSII only for his graduating year. And this year has flown by. It's been a blink of an eye that we've been working together here. But what I've learned about Nathan is that in that relatively short time is really inspiring. When I first met Nathan, we discovered our mutual love of film and music, and we shared our favorite directors, breaking down shots of our favorite films, favorite scenes, and discussing his own film ideas. I began to see that he had an incessant need to create, that art was always driving him. You know, this pandemic that we're living through has taken a toll on all of us, and those living to collaborate together to make art are particularly hard hit. Those people strive on those vital connections and those opportunities in order to create and do what they need to do. And I regret that we weren't able to do all of the film projects and all of the exciting things we had planned and all of your projects you had underway, and we were forced to stop production. But Nathan never stopped. He was still writing, still planning his ideas, still collaborating with his partners, teaching himself to produce music, to develop his ideas and adapt to the situation as he needed to. Nathan, it's been my pleasure to work with you for this year, and I can't wait to see when you get the green light for your first project. But as for today, we're giving you the green light on your graduation, so come on up here.
Maya. When Maya joined us at PSII a couple of years ago, I think it would be fair to say she was an enigma, a mystery. And it took a little while for us to find our way through the wall of that mystery, because Maya did a very good job of making sure that we wouldn't go through that wall. I think it wasn't until we noticed sort of some things that Maya did enjoy for herself, where she would light up. And I think the first thing I noticed was one day where you were excited to be able to dress as an anime character for an upcoming convention, and you were very excited about it, and it just lit up the school and lit you up. And then all of a sudden we got a little tiny window into the enigma. Over the couple of years, Maya found her voice, literally and figuratively, speaking out, acting, working with people, doing voice work for other people's animation, writing. Maya attended university in the Accelerated Entry program. She took more courses than your average person, but all of these things for Maya, we will say they're amazing and wonderful, and she will not say that. Part of the reason for that, I think, is, and Maya knows this about herself, she's a perfectionist and a very harsh self-critic. I don't know when or if she will see exactly how much she has accomplished in this short period of time, but it's considerable. She will disagree with me, and if she was up here, we should have 2 mics, and she would be up here and she would be countering every single thing that I'm saying right now. But unfairly, I get to speak without her doing that, so I will. Next year, I'm going to really miss our conversations about psychology and anime as you teach me more and more about that world of Japanese anime that I know so little about but appreciate so much. And the connection between those two things, the connections between psychology and games, connection between psychology and anime, seeing how all of those things fit together. It's been really educational for me to watch you put that together and make observations that I'd never considered before. I have a lot of anime to watch to catch up, and I'm going to have to contact Maya from time to time to ask about some things to figure out what the heck is going on, because some of them are really complicated and I really don't understand them. But she knows, and she will help me through it. I think that you're going to have to stay in touch with us at PSII. I'm not really sort of ready to say that we're done, because I don't think we've had enough time together yet to know each other as well as we can. So I think that's all I'm going to say about that. We're not going to make it a goodbye. We're just going to make it a slightly different change of scenery. And I hope that you do stay in touch with us as you make your way through UVic and eventually come to appreciate yourself. Thank you. Come on up. I know you.
Sasha has a curious mind that looks at each new situation as an opportunity to learn more about how the world is, about others, and about himself. He gives himself permission to ponder a topic for a while and refuses to allow himself to do what most of us do, leap to conclusions before we've taken in the specifics of a particular case. There's something remarkably brave in this attitude, in his unwillingness to think that he already knows how something's going to be, in his willingness to be surprised. This refusal to rely on preconceived notions means that Sasha notices more about society, about culture, about an individual's relationship with both these things than people who are twice his age. There's wisdom in his insights and a gentle understanding that can be experienced when in conversation with Sasha, as well as through his written and visual artworks. In all 3 of these forms of expression, Sasha's careful with the choices he makes in the words he uses and in his mode of delivery. He enjoys the challenge of and has demonstrated a mastery of nuance. I don't want anyone to think that what I've said means that Sasha is naive to the destructive aspects of our society. To the contrary, Sasha has a very strong sense of justice and is committed to contributing to a world where everyone can live free of prejudice, bigotry, and hate. He is thorough in his analysis of how pervasive these injustices are in our lives, as well as in the diverse media that's created by people and what we consume, sometimes unknowingly. Sasha's in the know. and this is evident in his analysis of his experiences and of media that is used to tell stories, describe the world around us. Next year, Sasha will be taking a gap year and has already secured an internship position for that time. I'm sure he will continue to create stories, art, worlds during this time, and I hope you'll continue to share these. It's been an absolute honor to work with you this past year. I just wish we'd had longer. Congratulations on your graduation.
Before I get started, I just take a quick minute to thank all of the people who aren't able to be here today. It's a bit of a different graduation, and I think that we all know that we're lucky to be here and to have this time with each other, and it's really nice to be able to look out and see everyone's faces actually today. But we're missing a lot of people. We're missing parents and siblings and grandparents and people who are maybe online right now. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank those people for all of the love and hard work that they've put into getting you to this day as well. So if you join me. Okay, so you didn't hear this from me, but I have a confession to make. When I heard this from Sydney, I knew that I was in for a treat. And probably a very good story. One of the privileges, maybe the greatest privilege of teaching, is watching people to grow. Watching learners change, become determined, battle challenges, get out of their own way, and overcome. Sydney, I simply do not see the same young woman in front of me today who I met less than 2 years ago. Hang on. Before I get too far into this speech, I need to go to the end of it, because I know, Sydney, that if you were handed this story, you would skip to the end and you would read that first. This not to find out what happens in the conclusion, not to spoil the story for yourself, but so that you can prepare yourself for the learning and understanding that you are expected to gain as you take the information in. So, Sydney, you have taught me the importance of being a truly empathetic listener, one who is not required into action. Instead, to be an ear and a consistent, friendly face, a witness and nothing more than that when that is what is truly needed. You have taught me the importance of being an adaptable facilitator, allowing personal health and wellness to come before imposed educational expectations. And most of all, you have shared with me that ageism and titles such as learner and teacher have no place in building beautiful, honest, and reflective friendships. Now that you know where I'm going, the determination that you brought into this year was nothing short of astounding. I know that the work has never really been the hard part for you, right? But you did the work and the research, and then you did more, and then you did more, and eventually I had to tell you that we couldn't keep up with it. High school is something you are leaving behind well completed. I hope that you will stick with the science, with continuing to take time to nurture yourself, to pursue creative outlets as a process for your own continued growth, and I hope that you will always feel safe and empowered in keeping to being honest. I know that you will keep being a voice and an advocate for those who really need that as an ally. I'm so excited to see you heading off to college to pursue further education in a world of healthcare. Your peers, your colleagues, and eventually your patients are going to be as blessed as I have been by your presence in their lives. I know this because everyone that I work with now already benefits from my knowing you. Should I read the end again? Okay. Congratulations, Sydney. It has been my pleasure.
Ben. Sometimes, a path of learning opens up for someone, and it seems to be such a natural and inevitable fit that it is hard to imagine that learner on any other path. Watching Ben over the past 4 years has been like that. His first days and weeks at the school saw Ben immediately associating with older learners in the tech space. Watching a younger, smaller Ben learning from these older learners, I often had to remind myself that Ben was still in his first year at PSII. He seemed so at home with that group and so engaged in learning from these older learners. His association with that group translated to deeper engagements with the tech needs of the school until, inevitably, Ben was that senior learner, teaching younger learners the ropes and passing along the torch. I also got to watch with great joy as Ben engaged with and embraced the world of broadcasting. He started volunteering with Shaw and playing around with cameras on his own time. His love of the work and the passion he brings to his learning came together, and Ben expanded and deepened his engagement with broadcasting, eventually taking on broadcasting projects of his own. This led, inevitably, to Ben starting his own production company, Ben Kerr Productions. Ben's passion and professionalism shine in the productions that have come out of his company. His attention to detail, his creativity, his eye for quality, and his drive to always be better can be seen in production after production. And I'm not the only one who has noticed. Every time Ben has engaged in a new role in broadcasting, from camera operator to directing, his reviews have been glowing, and he has always asked back. As Ben explored broadcasting, he became, eventually, inevitably, stumbled upon the world of sports broadcasting. At present, this is where his passion lies, and he is off to pursue that further in Toronto this September, rather. Ben also developed an interest and a passion for politics during his time at PSII. If some event happened overnight, I knew I'd be talking to Ben the next day about it. Excuse me. A little verklempt. And to Ben's great credit, he was seldom interested in just sounding off about a topic. Most often, he was interested in getting to the roots of an issue, whether it was economic, environmental, systemic, partisan, or universal. With Ben, I've never had to look for a way to bring learning to the conversation because Ben was already looking to learn. Although I could go on for a lot longer expounding on the joy and ease of teaching Ben, we have other grads we need and want to talk about. But before I wrap up, I would like to share one other aspect of Ben: his generosity. Over the years, Ben has been asked to do a lot of favors for a lot of learners and a lot of teachers. Ben has been our, which is to say PSII's, photographer and videographer for years now. He did the video setup for his own grad. He has also helped countless learners with their films and video projects. He's helped learners with their computers, guiding them through software and hardware fixes. He has answered questions and suffered interruptions to his own work for the sake of others, and he has done it all with generosity and kindness. This is not to say that he hasn't been frustrated or infuriated with people over the years, but I always saw him seek the kindest way to express himself, even on his most frustrated days. Although he was gentle and generous with his colleagues, he always sought to vent his frustrations safely away from the situation. Ben's kindness and generosity has set the tone for the spaces he leaves behind at PSII. And I cannot think of a better legacy. Ben, I'm going to miss you like hell. But I am so honored and so happy to have gotten to work with you and to have been some small part of your educational journey. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me, clearing my throat in the microphone here. Well, change of pace here. I have a little bit of a concerning thing here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to my attention that the writers and publishers of PSII News have asserted that myself and my colleagues are very likely conducting our own inquiries and experiments on these very learners behind the scenes, like some sort of sinister testing facility. I don't believe this news here. I just lost my spot. There we go. Well, I can assure you that, even if that were true, I couldn't tell you. What I can, however, tell you is that if we were using something like biometers, let's say, to monitor your vital signs during pre-cal sessions, and even if said biometers recorded your body temperatures and heart rates of said students, this next graduate would always be showing up as cool, calm, and collected like a cucumber in the fridge. You see, Reese, to the best of my knowledge, never had a nickname out while at PSI, but I think Iceman would have been an accurate choice. Reese's relatively shy demeanor in grade 10 gradually became more of a cool and confident one as I got to know him. And by the time his final year rolled around, Reese would often stroll in, as he's dressed today, suit and tie, hands in pockets, and a peace resting on his face. Yes, he was cool, calm, and collected, like a cucumber in the fridge. Reese's unassuming character and his really friendly, genuine nature were always a welcome presence in our sessions, and his witty remarks were always timely and always on point. And when he had to think fast on his toes, well, you can guess it, he was cool, he was calm, collected, you could say like a cucumber in the fridge. Reese's interest in business and his skill in math present incredible opportunities before him. And now you get to pursue that successful career that you and I have been talking about for all of these years at PSI. Reese, it's now time for you to take that swagger, take that sharp dress suit, and use it to navigate the next chapter of your life through university and on to that dream life. No matter the ups and downs of school, no matter the high-stake world of business and architecture that you're about to enter, when the pressure is on, when you feel that flop sweat of brewing, just remember to be cool, to be calm, be the cucumber in the fridge. Come on up here, Reese.
Shayla came to us rather nervously 3 years ago, having attended a small, closely knit multi-age school and braving the transition to PSI. It didn't take her long, though, to make this community her own, to take advantage of the opportunity she had to pursue her passion, and to leave her mark. Shayla is an actress and a creator. She's been involved in and spearheaded numerous film projects, enjoying the collaborative process and the ability to put stories out into the world. When hiccups when they arise, and when working on a film, there's no shortage of hiccups, Shayla forged ahead, rallying people to overcome those challenges using creativity and critical thinking skills. She has both vision and passion. Shayla took on a leadership role in film. For one film she collaborated on, she created the script, acted, directed, edited, was dance and stunt choreography, costume designer. The list actually goes on, but I won't continue. And also in dance, introducing fellow learners to ballroom. At one point, she was teaching nearly 20 people, choreographing pieces for each of them. A final mention, Shayla has just finished her first novel. It tells the complex and emotional tale of 6 supernatural beings who each face their own personal demons in order to come together as a team. The story is passionate, insightful, and demonstrates her skill in creating suspenseful, thought-provoking stories that provide a glimpse of what it is to be human. Shayla, I am so very, very impressed by your determination, by your unwillingness to let anything stand in the way of you reaching your dreams. after your gap year, when you're attending the Victoria Academy of Dramatic Arts, I hope you remember, during those inevitable times when things just feel really hard, that you are highly capable and that you have something to offer the world that no one else can. I look forward to following your career and will be looking out for you in the films I watch, and I can't wait to read a published version of Land of No Souls. Congratulations.
When Axel came to our school a couple of years ago, I think for him it was probably a massive shock. You come into this building and everyone's sitting at tables doing something, and everyone seemed to already know what they were doing, and how did they know? And the teachers weren't saying do this and do that, but everyone somehow seemed to know. And I know for Axel at first that was really overwhelming. It took a while, and I have to admit I was worried for Axel, because I could see the look on his face for the first couple of weeks, just watching everything go by and wondering what to do, and sort of wondering probably when am I going to feel that way where I know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to do somehow magically. And interestingly, fast forward 2 years later, that did happen. And it happened well, very well. It's hard to see it change when it changes so slowly, but it did in fact change. I know that one thing that I know Axel and I have talked about before, but that works well for him, is the welcoming atmosphere of the school, where he felt like he was able to be himself and not be under the pressure. But sometimes the pressure that people feel isn't the pressure from outside, it's the pressure from inside. And I think once Axel was able to give himself an opportunity to have a break from that, away he went. He engaged in a lot of self-exploration in the school. And I think there were two things that happened. One of them is Axel found strengths in himself that he didn't know he had, and he was able to work on those strengths, some of them for the first time ever, just in the last little while. And it's too bad that it was only 2 years that we had together, but I think in that 2 years you made remarkable progress in that way. And in the other way, I think he also realized that there were some things that he already knew very well, that he was quite good at, that were valuable. And I think the two pieces coming together, the learning new strengths, but also acknowledging and recognizing the strengths that he already had and putting those together, was an extremely powerful combination. For me, Axel likes computers, and you've probably all noticed that. And so for me, when I watched the switch from Axel being the person who was consuming what was coming through the internet to him, to being a person who was thinking about, how can I use this powerful medium to put something out from this place? And he began looking at streaming and creating videos for other people to teach them things, combining his love with teaching things to younger people, which he's been doing for a long time and just didn't tell anybody, and for about a year. Was a really wonderful piece of progress to see for Axel, and it changed his orientation with that little folding piece of electronics that we all have in front of us so much on our desks and our tables in the school. I think more than anything, when Axel realized that his own ability to be able to contribute to the world and not have to feel like he was a recipient where other people were contributing to him, is the biggest change that I saw. It's very nice to see that, and I feel like the timing is great, because now you get an opportunity, Axel, to take that orientation out with you into the world, and you can contribute. You've got lots of things to contribute, and I think you know what they are now, and it's very nice to see. Come on up.
Just a joke. I knew. Oh, goodness. Why do I keep doing that right to the microphone? Oh, goodness. Sorry, I put them all out of order here. Here we are. Well, I got to say, this is a little bit weird being here without all of your family, and I want to second all of the kind wishes to all the wonderful family members and partners of PSII that have been supporting all of our students through the year. It is weird being here with just the cameras and all the spacing. And I know it's weird for all of us watching online too. You can't be here sitting next to your wonderful children and sons and daughters and all of these great people we've gotten to know. But it's all taking a bit of adjusting, right? 3 months it's been that we've been doing this, and yet it's still weird wearing pants again. Let alone a suit. Anyways, one of the good things, though, about getting back is cooking and baking. I know that we've all been doing a lot of that, and I find it interesting talking about food and nutrition with all of our learners. Unfortunately, I like to kind of grill them with, hey, what are you working out in? What's your exercise plan? What kind of foods are you eating? And over the past few years, Drew and I have had lots of these conversations where we're talking about nutrition, diet, exercise, and what we're doing to be healthy. When we talked about what plans we were trying and how the results were going, which is why I don't understand how you got in such excellent shape, and the only gains I saw are these bags under my eyes. All right. Can't win them all, folks. All right. But seriously, I remember Drew in grade 10, and he was more likely to have a bag of pop and some chips, bag of chips and some pop on his desk than his laptop. And whenever I would see him walking out the door, I knew he was heading over to 7-Eleven, grab some more food. By the end of our time together, Drew, I remember you seriously contemplating eating liver and kidneys because of its nutrient density and good value. Did you? Incredible. Since I've known Drew, he's wanted to be done school, get it over with so he could take on the business world and get busy making his empire. Make no mistake, though, his drive to be his own man and enjoy the freedoms that come with independence are matched by his kindness, his genuosity, let's just leave it at that, and his good nature. Drew really is a kind old soul. Drew, you are graduating in a weird time, true, and who knows what's next for all of us as the story unfolds. But I do know what is next for you. Getting this diploma, and walking out of here today as a graduate of the Pacific School of Innovation and Inquiry.
Okay. This one gets a special hat. Just for you. For those of you who haven't been to one of these grad ceremonies before, you've probably figured out some of this. All learners graduating from PSII, as you've observed, get to hear a teacher say some words about them when they graduate. Over the years, as learners have come into their final year at PSII, I've often heard them asking us, as early as September, who's doing my grad speech? Who's doing my grad speech? It is an indicator that learners look forward to this ceremony and that it is a meaningful moment for them. Once in a while, though, we get learners who have specific requests. And we do our best to accommodate those within reason. However, this year we had one learner who wanted something extra special. Maddie has asked that 2 teachers deliver her grad speech. At the risk of setting a dangerous precedent, this grad speech will have 2 parts, mine and then Jessica's. Sometimes, as a teacher, relationships hit you like a freight train. I don't know that I ever had a chance to approach Maddie. Instead, Maddie came to me and declared that we would be working together. As flattering as this was for me as a teacher new to the school, I came to understand that this was simply part of Maddie's process. For Maddie, reaching out and connecting with people is as important for her as breathing. Maddie's drive to connect with others, I've observed, comes from a deep and abiding sense of caring. It is not just that she wants to know what everyone is doing, she wants to know that people are doing well and that they are content and happy. And if there is something wrong, she wants it fixed. This desire to find ways to improve people's lives gets expressed in many ways. First, of course, there's the way that she engages with her friends, making sure that they're well, seeking out help when she doesn't understand how to help, or when it looks like it may require a group effort, organizing and motivating groups of people to help her friends. But she also wants to contribute to the lives of strangers, and she has done this through a variety of volunteer experiences, but also through a number of entrepreneurial projects. The biggest of these projects so far has been Alectoria, a 3-day magic camp for kids that she has successfully mounted and delivered twice so far. This year would have been the 3rd delivery for the camp, but as with so many things, it had to be postponed due to the COVID-19 situation. Maddie is one of those learners who seems to attend school largely as a favor to the school. It is not that we didn't have much to offer and teach Maddie. She stuck around for 4 years. But it's easy to see that Maddie will find a way to meet her needs in any situation. Perhaps it is because of her ability to meet her needs so readily that she is so dissatisfied when others' needs are not so easily met. I could talk, and in other situations have talked about Maddie for a very, very long time. Besides her caring nature and her ambition, I could talk about her emotional intelligence, her engaging and expansive sense of humor, her ability to generate insights, her generosity in its many expressions, and her tenacity. But I will instead hand over the mic and let Jessica talk to some of this. But before I go, this is always the hard part. Maddie, for the past 4 years, we've been working together, and it has passed in an eye blink. It feels like our conversations and explorations have only just started, and here you are graduating. As certain as I am that we are not done talking, and that we will continue to communicate some way or another for a long time to come, I'm going to miss your unique and important energy around the school. Congratulations on your graduation.
Maddie refers to us as her school parents, so here's my addition to what Sarge had to say. Maddie's a go-getter. In her first year with us, she traveled to Costa Rica by herself to help out at an animal sanctuary. In her second and third years, she envisioned, planned, organized, and held the Magic School-themed summer camps. Also in her third year with us, she wrote for, submitted to, and won a poetry competition. This year, she was supposed to be on a trip to the Peruvian Amazon to conduct ecological conservation research. We would have left yesterday, but those plans got changed. To list the personal attributes and skills Maddie possesses that make all the above possible would take longer than I have. So instead, I'd like to speak to Maddie, the kind, sensitive, beautiful human being in front of me. You see, the motivation behind all the above is Maddie's desire to create a better world, to bring beauty to the lives of those around her. Even at her busiest, even when juggling school and the myriad of other commitments she's made, Maddie takes the time to check in on the human beings in her life. She takes the time to join in the protests to support Wet'suwet'en. She takes the time to educate herself about the injustices in our society, particularly those facing Indigenous peoples. Maddie doesn't just practice social justice, she lives it. She lives by the words, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Maddie, I know you have many plans for the future, and I'm excited to see where you choose to walk. No matter where you end up, though, I hope you know that you, the person, are extraordinary. And you, the person, whose American Sign Language name literally means person who smiles and makes others smile too, have made a difference in my life and the life of those around you. I'm proud of you on so many levels. Congratulations.
Art is about adventure, evolution, and transformation. Art is about uncertainty and openness to possibility and chance, and art embodies risk. These very same attributes come to mind when I think of you, Tally. Your appetite for travel, the careful crafting of your identity, the intuitive way you navigate through newness with an easy honesty, enthusiasm, and sharpened integrity, and lots of pacing. Tally has the ability to see the larger cultural issues embedded in images and is honing the skill to craft her own images to present back to others. If art is a mirror, Tally can see herself clearly, but also the world at large is reflected back at her. She is paying attention. To be able to locate oneself in the madness is a great skill, and to be able to carve out clarity, stitch by stitch, pixel by pixel, print by print, is commendable. The image that Tally is working on is a very striking one indeed. Congratulations. Yep.
So Jen and I are going to acknowledge Karen together. She can't be here today because she's back in Japan, as with all of our dancers who we are missing, along with all of you. Karen came to us as part of a program with the Royal Ballet School and was with us for too short of a time, unfortunately having to go back. So she worked with me primarily in the kitchen, and I had the honor of seeing her dance. She was a joy to have in the space and a graceful dancer who is really enjoyable to watch on stage. We wish her all of the best in her future and wish that we could say it in person.
Our time together has been short and sweet with Karen. So we started working together after all of this craziness, so our in-person time didn't actually happen. And when she first came to me, I had a look at what science she had left to do, and I panicked a little bit because that was only maybe a couple months ago. and it seemed like quite a lot, but she absolutely blew me away with how hard she worked in such a short time. She was like, it was so impressive. And for it to be in another language is absolutely remarkable. And she was very, like, you could just tell that she comprehended things very quickly. You know, some people will, with the language barriers, they'll be polite and like, do you understand? Yes, yes. But it was very clear that she was on it immediately. And I didn't quite understand how it was possible, how she could so quickly comprehend such complex topics that even in a first language would be very challenging for most people. So yes, I've been so impressed and such a pleasure working with her, and so respectful and kind. Yes, just great work, Karen. All your miles away. I'm pretty sure that she's awake, although we have to think of what time it is for 6 in the morning. So that's also impressive. Yeah. She's right there. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Good work. You're going to accomplish so much. It's very clear to me. And yes, thank you.
I mentioned earlier that sometimes, as a teacher, relationships hit you like a freight train. Sometimes, though, relationships sneak up on you and quietly become part of your daily routine with hardly any disturbance. At some point, 4 years ago, I started a habit of patrolling the school in the morning before session started, largely to see who had arrived and to greet those few learners who were already there earlier than the rest. Lanny regularly arrived early. If the morning allowed it, and it often did, I would wander over to where she and others often were sitting to say good morning and ask after them. And as often or not, a brief exchange of pleasantries would lead to some question that would require deeper exploration. And slowly, over the course of that first year, this became a part of a larger pattern of my relationship with Lanny. Anyone who knows Lanny knows that quiet is not the first word that springs to mind. However, there is a quiet side to Lanny, and I've had the great good fortune to be able to observe and interact with that side of her. More on that in a moment. Before I talk about the quieter side of Lanny, I'd like to talk about the louder side. I don't know if it's the result of growing up with 3 other siblings, or if there is some other root cause, but Lanny has a voice that can carry. That, combined with her ability to pepper every conversation with a selection of casual expletives and 4-letter words, means that most conversations with Lanny tend to be colorful, descriptive, and intense. Lanny tackles every subject with a force and a passion I think she is often unaware of. This passion, although sometimes challenging to manage, is a trait that has supported Lanny through a wide and varied educational journey. She's explored so many topics and ideas during her time at PSII, and as she has moved from topic to topic, idea to idea, her learning has been both intellectual and emotional. As her thoughts on a topic developed, so too did her feelings. And as she is seldom shy about expressing those thoughts and feelings, on more than one occasion, she has been very, very loud. Also, on more than one occasion, Lanny has expressed anger at me in particular in one moment, usually with a scowl and a yell, only to express joy in the very next moment with an open laugh and an easy smile. With Lanny, her thoughts flow, and so too do her emotions. It has been an engaging journey to watch, from exploring profitable occupations to exploring meaningful occupations, from a fear of missing out to expressions of authentic engagement, from concerns about judgment and grades to conversations about critical thinking and learning, from worries about her own well-being to deepening her understanding of the well-being of others. Through this journey, Lanny has developed many quiet tendencies. Quietly, she strengthens her relationships with others. Quietly, she expresses her caring. Quietly, she becomes present and a more important person in the lives of others. I have no doubt that quietly or loudly, Lanny will make a memorable and important impact on the world. Lanny, I am grateful for the past 4 years. And I will miss, among many other things, sharing your learning journey with you. But I am very excited for what's to come. Congratulations.
Annie walked into PSII quietly and unobtrusively 2 years ago, and in the course of her time here, has managed to leave her teacher's jaws dropped on the floor in awe at least once, usually more, and often for extended periods of time. You see, Annie's a puzzler, not as in puzzling, but as in someone whose mind finds great joy in wrestling with and finding a solution to a problem, particularly if it involves logic and mathematics, though she also spent a good deal of time designing a new and, in my opinion, far superior system of government for our nation. I have never, even in my most diligent learners, known someone to spend so many hours on a single problem. Annie does, and she does so passionately. Annie's impact on our school community extends beyond amazing her teachers. She's tutored grateful fellow learners in math, collaborated on writing and performing theater, has been a supportive partner in rock climbing, and logged well over 100 hours rescuing our library from the destructive and disorganization of multiple moves, unchecked donations, and careless reshelving practices. Outside of PSII, she took an intensive summer math program at UVic, and in her final year here took advantage of the accelerated entry program also at UVic that saw her earning an A in her first year university calculus course, arguably the most failed university calculus, or the most failed university course ever. It's not Annie's intelligence, however, that I will remember her most for. It's her kindness. Everyone she tutored has remarked on her patience and understanding. As a rock climbing partner, she was always encouraging, and I quite literally trust her with my life. Annie's future plans include completing a BSc in mathematics followed by a teaching degree. I would not recommend teaching to many. It requires a brave and caring heart. Annie, you have both those qualities in spades, and I have no doubt that you'll be a source of inspiration for many learners over the years to come. They will be so fortunate to have you as a teacher. Please keep in touch. Congratulations on your graduation.
All right, I'd like to try something here, so I'm hoping that you guys will play along. If I can please have everyone on this side of the room here, I want you to try with me. I'd like you to say, actually, I'm going to start on this side of the room. How would you try that? Why don't I just throw it up? I'd like you to join me and say, na. If you guys want to join in, na. It's a little bit loud, na. Okay, that's good, good. Now on this side, if I can get you guys to join me in, Loo. Let's hear it, let's hear it. Okay, that's good. This side again. Na. One more time. Na 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 na. Luna, I could think of no better way to celebrate you today than to force all of these wonderful, willing to participants into a little bit of psychological warfare and chanting your name. I know that as a student of psychology, you will appreciate the many layers. And I hope that the energy generated in this room by all of us here chanting your name propels you into a life of joy and happiness. You are a kind and caring person who understands the power of friendship and the healing medicine of laughter. It has been a great fun supporting you through the many interesting inquiries and endlessly fascinating conversations we have at school. You, just like every one of these wonderful people graduating today, are strong and unique personalities that help shape the fabric of our community at school. And though the absence of all your individual personalities is going to be felt next year, I hope that you know how important you've been to shaping the caring and inclusive school environment that we've been working so hard to build. And we're hoping to make the new normal. Please help me to recognize this particular individual one more time. And this time, starting again, one more time, please, together. Luna. Come on up here, Luna.
I'm here, I made it. I can't believe I made it all the way up here to the podium, and I am allowed to say the words I wrote about Willow. I kind of thought that right up to the point, like right up to this point, at some point she would find me, take me off to in some corner and say, look, I've got these prepared for you to say. I'd like you to say it like this. Try, coach out the way, the intonation and the emphasis to get it just right. All the director's notes highlighted for me in the margins, but no, I almost don't, I almost don't know what to do. I may need direction through this, so I will look to you for that. I know what she says. Okay. I think just to start things off right away, it's important to try to get a sense of what Willow was all about. Willow was the person who, while having very serious conversation with me about important things to do with school and life, was simultaneously secretly taking a picture of me halfway in the ceiling that became a meme all over the internet. That I actually just found out that someone saw first as a picture when they were looking up information about PSII in the images, and I had some explaining to do, just to set the context right. That kind of sums up our relationship, actually. Now, all that, just keeping that in mind, as you hear all the other comments, just keep that in the back of your mind, which is pretty hard not to, because you've probably all seen that picture. Willow, through the course of the time at PSII, which I cannot believe that that time has gone by now, it's just remarkable to me, it's amazing. She has read things and understood them that I never read until I was in my graduate studies and never actually understood until she was able to explain them to me in a different way. If anyone's ever read Willow's writing, she writes fiction and nonfiction like a professional. Recently handed something that were snippets of philosophical ideas in sort of small form, sort of one-pagers. And I was thinking, why did Willow send me some philosophy articles? But then I realized after I was reading them, they were hers. They weren't just some philosophy articles. And again, expressing very deep ideas in ways that I hadn't considered them expressed before, despite having read about them all for the last sort of 35 years. She's a phenomenal stage manager and did that right out of the gate, managing a couple of our shows with incredible expertise to the point where a seasoned dramatist who's been working with our school for a while, Mr. Dave Moore, so I hope is watching right now too, I think the way he put it, to quote him properly, was, "Where did she come from?" And so that was also something that we knew about Willow right away, that just this innate ability to manage very complex things seemingly very naturally and without being too shaken up about any of it, which is incredible. When I started to think about all of these things, I solved the mystery. Willow may have had another life already. I think this is a second one, and I think that concept of old soul comes to play here. And I think the reason that Willow knows how to do these things and is the way that she is that she's already been here and she's got it all figured out. So nothing's new, and she's not very flustered. She's had a little more time here than maybe the rest of us. The only reason I don't have a box of Kleenex here right now is that she is not allowed to not stay in touch. So this is not goodbye. Otherwise, I would have blown through the box of Kleenex by now, which I may still do. I'm not finished yet. And I think what I'm most excited about is that going through all kinds of things through her high school year and coming out of it in a way that she forged very strong friendships with people, some of whom she had been friends with previously, and reformed those friendships, I think, in a stronger way, and also formed some new ones with people who I don't know that she even thought that would become friendships, and they did, and they're deep. So this isn't all about Willow, it's also about the way Willow has affected and connected with other people. It's another person who I think is going to do something incredible in the world, and I don't think any of us know what it is because it hasn't been invented yet. And I look forward to seeing what that is. So, like I said, not goodbye, don't need Kleenex. Come on up, Willow, congratulations.
We have a lot of, maybe not fun, but we have a lot of fun, maybe, arguing over who gets to do whose grad speeches. And Emily and I could not decide who was going to do your grad speech, and we both decided that we would do you a better service if we did this together. So I'm going to speak first, and then Emily's going to add a couple words at the end, okay? Okay. There are many cultures around the world that have designated and honored roles for people who challenge the status quo. Bjorn is one of those people. He looks himself at the world around him and thinks about why things are the way they are and how they came to be this way. He asks questions about power and how certain societal norms serve to maintain a hierarchy, and he's intent on breaking those down. Through his words, through his art, and through his actions, he invites others to apply this same critical lens to their own views. What I've seen happen over the past few years is Bjorn settling into this role and the power that comes with it. He's engaged in constructive activism, and he sees hope for his future. No longer is living the life he wants a dream, it's a possibility. And it's a possibility because of the skills he's acquired in perception, in communication, and in expression. I have so much gratitude for you and for having had you in my life. Your courage and your perseverance are impressive. Thank you for all the disruption you've caused. Keep going. I wish you nothing but the best as an artist, a tattooist, and a young man who's going to take the world by storm.
Bjorn, you agitate with compassion, you interrogate with empathy. Everything has been done before, but definitely not the way you do it. Congratulations.
Where is he? There he is. Naranj made a return trip to PSII. We had a brief encounter when he was a much, much younger person, maybe even a little bit under the shadow of his older brother, coming in the door to PSII, and probably again thinking, what strange world have I walked into? And this was even the PSII in the old PSII space that was up on Fort Street that is now a hole in the ground and a partially completed set of townhouses and condominiums. The reason I mention that is that a lot of time has passed and a lot of things have changed about the school. And then lucky for us, very lucky for us, in walked Naranj this year. And it was so good to see him again. The same person is there who was there before, except a person who's obviously matured, gone through all kinds of things in life that has given him some incredible insight, a very high level of compassion. And I know any of you who have spoken with Naranj about anything knows that when he talks about math, there's compassion behind it. Economics, there's compassion behind it. Everything that he talks about, there's compassion behind it. This is one of the main reasons why I just love talking with Naranj about anything, is that he always has a smile on his face because everything he is talking about is with the intent of making the world better, every time. It's been interesting to watch Naranj gain the confidence that he probably should have had the moment he walked through the door, but for some reason did not, or at least did not show it. I'm seeing more of it now, and it's a relief, to be honest, because the mismatch between what we have seen and what he seemed to see was a very big gap. So whether it was just what it looked like or what it is, it's a relief to see that the gap has been closed. PSII grew up. We're not on Fort Street. We're not in a little tiny wooden box anymore that's sort of fallen over, and so is Naranj. I know, Naranj, you've overcome some large personal challenges along the way, and I think you've come through it better than anyone I've ever seen come through those kinds of challenges. As I mentioned, compassionate, going along with that when someone is gentle and bright and well-spoken, it's a pretty wonderful combination. Being a self-starter, knowing that you have as many options as you have been given in the post-secondary world, combining that with being a self-starter, you can choose what you want from what those places are offering you and make that into what you need it to be, rather than following a path that maybe someone has set out for you. And I know that you're looking at it that way. And I also know that having so many options to you can be overwhelming, so I want you to rely on that confidence that we see in you to know that when you're making a choice, it's the right choice. I look forward to seeing your name on something that helps the world. I know I will, and I know it's not going to be very long. I know it's going to be wonderful. So congratulations, and thanks for joining us for grade 12.
How you doing, Parker? Yeah, that's what I thought. I wouldn't have expected any other answer. I started this speech on December 17th, 2019. Why? You might say it was an action inspired through a combination of frustration, a need for some positive self-talk, a shedding of ego, some realigning of commitment, and then ultimately stubborn determination. These are also likely a few things that Parker has experienced in working with me over the last 2 years. I believe that we have mutually inspired or inflicted some self-growth onto each other. Taking a step back, when we sat down as a staff to determine our groups late last summer, I wasn't going to let Parker go because we had worked too hard figuring each other out for me to stop working with him then. I went into that meeting knowing this, and I had high hopes. Obviously, when we sat down to discuss grad speeches, I also wasn't going to let this moment go. By December 17th, I was creating for myself a mantra, setting personal goals, visualizing this very moment, and creating a positive affirmation. When Parker found clarity along the year here in choosing a program at Camosun for next year, and acknowledging that taking a gap year wasn't going to be a good idea for him, he set his own goals for this day. That fueled me to set high expectations in my standards for Parker in reaching this stage. I did this knowing that Parker could reach them. Often I had to wait for the second breakfast to be completed before we could get down to business, but here we are. The road over the last 2 years has been a bit more of a tug-of-war between myself and Parker than a casual stroll along a well-known path. Or maybe more of a boot camp with some obstacle courses, support from the sidelines, and lots of nutrition breaks. Somewhere along the way, I realized that if I didn't show Parker that I believed in Parker, he wouldn't believe in me. This, for me, has been the teaching and working with Parker. It has also become a friendship, it has some coaching, and this is the learning. In the end, we laughed a lot, because the wit on this one, Parker is quick, even when he's moving slow. He's really smart, he's so capable, and he's really, really funny. In the time that we've been working together, I learned that meeting him where he needed me to be, he was going to be happy to show me all of that, the important things. And so our time and our routine has changed. Food challenge, laughter challenge, food challenge, laugh challenge. Parker, I don't really know what I'm going to do with myself between around 11:30 and 12 o'clock next week, but maybe I'll start with second breakfast. I'm really excited for you and your journey to Camosun next year. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. Congratulations.
There's a scene in a book where a woman comes to a city and she's utterly exhausted, totally drained from working really hard. And then she looks up and sees this beautiful, powerful, competent woman, and she feels so much relief, so much joy. I knew I wasn't going to get through this. That there's someone that she can trust in, someone who she knows will take care of the things that need to be taken care of. I feel that sense of awe every time I look at Helen. I'm so impressed by the strength of character you possess. Helen's determined, driven, and is completely unwilling to accept things as they are if there isn't something right about them. I remember the first time I witnessed that fight. We were in the lab working on an appeal because someone was trying to tell her that she couldn't go on an exchange to Japan. She very deliberately pulled herself together, something I'm obviously not doing right now, stood herself up, and wrote a strongly worded appeal that made it clear to me that she was and is capable of achieving anything she sets her mind to. Helen has been to Japan 3 times in the past 4 years. One trip she earned entirely based on her contribution to a summer language program where she worked so successfully with Japanese clients who came to Victoria for the summer to learn English that the company arranged for her to go to school in Japan for 2 weeks and stay with the family for 3 as their way of thanking her for her contribution. They'd never done that with any employee before. This highlights for me not just her determination, but also her kindness and her willingness to open her heart to others. Helen's been immensely welcoming to our learners who come from out of country, even planning Christmas outings to Bouchard Gardens with them and attending every ballet performance put on by the Victoria Academy of Ballet to show her support. Helen reads and thinks deeply about topics that range from existentialism to revolution and transformation. She wades in on topics from political reform to social justice in the textile industry. To balance this heavy thinking, she also has a lightheartedness, a playfulness, as evidenced in the cosplay she creates from scratch. I could continue, but I know I have to keep this short. So I'll end by saying that Helen will be attending UBC next year, her first choice university, to earn a degree in Asian Studies, which she intends to follow with a teaching degree. Though I support Helen in following any and all of her dreams, including teaching in Japan, I do harbor a secret hope that she'll come back and be our first PSI-raised member of the teaching staff. I don't think this will be the last we see of you. Congratulations, Helen, on all your accomplishments.
Here we go again. Thank you all for coming out to see just how much you have affected your teachers. I don't know that we've had a chance to express that, but I hope you're kind of getting the impression. In case it hasn't been made clear by every single speech made this afternoon, teachers tend to get emotionally caught up in their learners' educational journeys. This is no less true with Matthew. I started and rejected 6 different variations on this speech as I struggled to put into words what I wanted to say. Then, after fussing and fiddling with a lot of different words, I decided to listen to what I tell learners when they're writing. Just say what you mean to say, and this is it. I am very proud of Matthew. Different learners have had different challenges on their journey. Matthew has had his own share of challenges, academic, social, and personal. And there was a time in the middle of this journey where I didn't know if he was going to make it to graduation day. Not because he wasn't capable, but because the motivation and focus that he started with weren't with him anymore. Not every learner recovers from that, but Matt did, and I watched him do it. And what I saw made me very proud of him. His solution was elegant. He let go of all of the shoulds he was carrying, and he started focusing on what he needed to learn. Further, in communicating his needs, he trusted his teachers to work with him to meet his goals. As a result, the final legs of Matt's educational journey have been exciting, engaging, and transformative. A little more than a week ago, Matt and I were going through a process of reflecting on his high school journey and assessing how he met his goals this year. It was a joyful and fulfilling conversation where we identified a number of important milestones. He learned to cook and has discovered a joy in the self-sufficiency it brings him. He has better relationships with his physical and mental health. He is happy with his ability to communicate and the improvements he has made to his reading, his writing, and his speaking. And he is excited about his future. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but you get the idea. For a learner who a year ago was very much adrift, Matthew has impressed me with his renewed commitment to himself. I see the results. I see a human being who is happier with himself, and as a result, I think he brings much more to his relationships with others. I'm not sure we need to ask much more of education than that. Matt, I'm proud of you and all that you have accomplished. Like so many others here this afternoon, I'm going to miss working with you, but I have every faith in your abilities to carry you into the future. Congratulations.
In my past 3 years teaching at PSII, I've been fortunate to get to know and work with many of you and get to know you as individuals. And one thing I've found is that one of the best parts of being an educator at our school is teaching and learning alongside such creative, inquisitive, and opinionated young individuals. PSII is a place that encourages our learners to think critically about the world around them, to ask those tough questions, and even if it's an uncomfortable topic. We want them to challenge the status quo and explore who they are and who they want to become, how they want to express themselves, and find ways so that their voice is heard. Anyone who has worked and learned alongside or collaboratively with Tom can attest that if he has an opinion or a question to share, you will hear it. But Tom, you've been at PSII for 4 years now, 4 formative years of your life. In that time, we've been here with you as you've navigated the challenges of high school, the dynamics of civil discourse, and the coming and going of good friends who've graduated in previous years. We've seen your love of music and your gift for commentary merge into many exciting and interesting inquiries as a talented writer, a music historian, and a very talented multi-instrumentalist emerged before us. Tom, the music room has been your bastion of beats, your sanctuary of song, your grotto of guitaro. But Tom, now it's time to take your space outside of the music room. But I thought it would be fitting to take a piece of it with you. So if you'd like, I've arranged that you can take the large 1,000-pound gray desk that you've been sitting at for the last 4 years home with you for the next journey and any other place you'd like to take it with you. Tom, it's been really great getting to know you and work with you over these years, and I'm just overjoyed to see that you're here today graduating and moving on to the next step. And I hope that you take all of the feedback we've been giving you all these years about your talents and your strengths as a writer and as a person, and make your life a really rewarding and successful one, doing what you love to do. Congratulations, Tom.
And that's our grad class of 2020. Congrats. Just quickly before we hand this over to a few of our learners who have put together a bit of a surprise for us, I hear, I'd like to take a really quick moment to speak about Don Beadle, who's retiring again at the end of the school year. I quite literally owe Don my job. When Jeff was getting ready to embark on the adventure of starting a school, he tapped a number of talented, like-minded teachers to join him. He wanted to bring Don on board for his skill at relating the theoretical to the practical, for his building and making mindset, and for his commitment to seeing learners as entire people. Fortunately for me, though unfortunately for PSII, Don took a principal's position in Northern BC instead, which opened up the spot for me to join the teaching team. Jeff wasn't willing to let Don go quite that easily, and so 2 years ago, he lured him out of his first retirement to join us at last. I'm so glad that he did. Don's brought a compassionate and calm air to not just our staff room, but the whole school. I've been reminded by him on numerous occasions to look up from the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day to the long-term trajectory that's learner growth and development. He's reminded me that most things worth building aren't built in a day, and that in order to be around to see the final project we need, or the final product, we need to be gentle with ourselves. Learners who work with Don know that they're safe, they know that they're seen, and they know that they're valued. He's constantly finding articles, designs, or other reading material for people that he thinks will be of interest to them. He sees what makes each person unique. We'll be sad to see you go, but we're excited for the adventures we know you'll be having as we toil away. And I look forward to having you back with us next summer as we embark on our research expedition to the Peruvian Amazon. Thank you for all your contributions to PSII. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have worked with you, we all are, and to have learned alongside you. We'll miss you in the jingle of all 3 of your lanyards.
Well, okay. I'm speaking. Presentation. You just had to sit back there, huh? Yeah, okay. I haven't known Kira for as long as I've known some of the other teachers, and I've only really known her for about 1.5 years now. But in that time, I can say she's become one of my favorite teachers. Even though I met her when she was first doing her practicum at PSII, I didn't really get to know her until she became my substitute org teacher in the latter half of my grade 11 year. One of the first conversations I remember having with Kira was, as usual, not the lightest topic. We were talking about the purpose of secondary education and if it's still valuable as it's made out to be. Now, I don't remember exactly where this conversation went, but I do remember how kind and caring Kira was. Thinking about it a little bit more, the first conversation I had with Kira was probably when she first visited PSII. I don't remember the conversation at all, but I imagine it happened since it seems to be the first conversation I have with every visiting instructor. First, they introduce themselves and kindly ask if we wouldn't mind them asking us a couple questions. After the student's permission, these visiting instructors ask questions like, how has this inquiry model helped in your learning? I always start my reply with a, well, and then go through my well-developed bullet point presentation of how the school works and why it's beneficial. I've had a little practice over the years, as I'm sure we all have. You really do get to have some cool conversations with some really neat people. Even if this conversation with Kira didn't happen, I know she is one of those really cool people that you can have neat conversations with. She always brings a different perspective to conversations and to the project. Working with Kira and Sarge this year has been an amazing experience with our English 12 focus group, and I hope it was an amazing experience for them too, even though the focus part may have been lacking for me personally. Kira, oh, this is weird. Okay, Kira, just pretend I'm looking at you. Kira, I will miss meeting with you and developing projects with you. I will miss chatting with you every day at school, and I will miss helping you with your computer every day at school. I hope you get a little break this summer to get away from the screens. I don't know, you say it's like a bad thing. I don't get that. But anyway, thank you for being a great teacher. I really appreciate it.
In 1961, an Italian artist named Piero Manzoni filled tin cans with his own excrement as pieces of artwork. This could be seen as a perfect example of the ostentatiousness of modern artists. Thanks to Emily, I see this as an amazing piece of conceptual art with great historical importance. Over the last 10 months of working with Emily, my understanding of contemporary art has vastly improved. Every time I have an idea that I'm unsure of how to execute, she has the exact examples and provides the assistance I need. Emily helps me ground my political views and express them to other students with reason and clarity. She is always able to make sense of my thoughts and help me articulate complex ideas that me and many other students have. Being someone who lived on Salt Spring, as well as her connections in large cities across Canada, make her a great resource in small community art collectives, as well as large-scale events and installations. Thanks to her, I look forward to being able to participate in these one day. This year, I've seen Emily succeed in incorporating art into many subjects and involving people in art projects who otherwise wouldn't be interested. For example, the not-for-profit society she has created in collaboration with a number of students this year. The goal of the Space Blanket Society is to have a physical location for a youth-run art space, and thanks to her ability to navigate the bureaucracy and keep the vision alive, this goal is possible and currently in the works. Her dedication to not only being a teacher, but an active, practicing artist is inspiring. It gives me hope and motivation for my future as an artist. Her art is not only technically amazing, but conceptually diverse and covers a wide range of mediums and materials. Thank you, Emily, for taking the time this year to work with me and help improve my understanding of complex artistic ideas. I look forward to continuing to work with you into my adult life through the Space Blanket Society.
Hi. Jessica is the most caring and smart person I know. I started high school with little to no motivation when it came to academics due to depression, and I truly didn't think I'd be alive after high school. But here I am today with plans for post-secondary and after. I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for Jessica, nor would I be excited for university. Jessica taught me that good mental health and academics could coexist. Jessica may act humble when it comes to how amazing she is, but she has truly brought out the best in me and has been patient with me when I was going through tough times. And I think I speak for other students when I say that Jessica leaves a comforting and positive impact on all the students she works with. Jessica has taught me many important things. She re-taught me an excitement for academics. She taught me to be patient, but to also stand up for myself. And most importantly, she taught me when to use periods instead of a never-ending run-on sentence. I share many amazing memories with Jessica, like watching Star Wars on Christmas Eve, or renting kimonos in Kyoto and eating delicious food. Jessica has made my high school experience something positive to look back on, and I'm sure we will stay in contact when I'm living in Vancouver for school and after. Thank you, Jessica.
Morgan Sargent, or informally known by the students as Sarge, began teaching at PSII the same year I started. Like many others, I had no idea what I was doing. From the start, Sarge was there to assist this new idea of inquiry-based learning. You could pitch the most out-there idea to Sarge and he would never say no. With his full support, all he would say is, "That's a little broad, let's narrow it down a bit." I heard this a lot. Myself, along with many other students, can agree that Sarge is always fully supportive, no matter how silly or strange the idea or issue. On one of Sarge's dreaded bad head days, or a day his migraines prevent him from coming into school, there is definitely a different ambiance. The question, "Where's Sarge?" is asked at least a dozen times throughout the day. Now that's a lot considering there's a school of around 90 kids. When Sarge is missing, he never goes unnoticed. Just a small example of how much he means to us. Whether it's writing an essay, story, poem, or speech, I guess, my immediate instinct is to consult Sarge to go over it and analyze my work. While writing this, I definitely considered it. I always look forward to his sometimes harsh but extremely practical critiques. So, Sarge, my question for you is, will this boost my English grade at all? Leaving the school will be hard mainly because I'm doubtful I'll get another bond with a teacher like this. Sarge, thank you for your wisdom and incredible ability to teach. The confidence I have in my academics has grown so much because of you. You're definitely in the right profession. As for next year, there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be bugging you to edit or read over my work. As for any present and future students, you should treasure your time with Sarge, because for me, 4 years wasn't long enough.
Okay, so this side, ton. Okay, so I'll say the first thing. I'll talk about like the first time I entered PSI. I remember Anton was there, and I remember like noticing him specifically because he like had this eyebrow piercing, and he looked like he was like 20 years old. I was like, who's this guy? But he was really nice. And I remember there was like someone taking the tour with me, some like emo kid, and I thought he was really cute. I'm sorry, I didn't write anything, so I really gotta improvise. And so, so that was part of it. But Anton was there, and he was like really friendly. And then I remember my first day at PSI, and I was really glad for some reason that I was in his org group. And the school I was at before that, I was really not motivated. And I think that just made it a lot harder for me to work. And it's really nice to be in a place where not just Anton, but all of the teachers, when you fall behind, they see it as a way to plan ahead and not discuss your shortcomings. So, yeah, I'm really glad about PSI. And yeah, thank you, Anton.
Congrats on graduating, everybody. Today I'll be speaking about that middle-aged bald man over there. Wave, so everyone knows what I'm talking about. I've known Jeff for about 4 years now, and I gotta admit, he's a pretty odd guy. Most men, for their midlife crises, take up a spin class or take their wife to Maui. Rarely do they ever say, okay, I'm gonna open up a high school, teach the youth how to innovate and inquire. Sounds like a cult. It really does. But Jeff has been the first person in my life to so consistently and clearly care for me and my safety and well-being without asking for literally anything in return. Is he passive-aggressive? Yes. Does he have a total of 2 facial expressions? Yes. Does he run an underground counterfeit ring? Probably. Is he never around to answer your questions because he's tending to said counterfeit ring? Absolutely. But Jeff goes above and beyond for his students. And he cares so deeply about education and about all of us that it doesn't really matter how flawed he is, which is severely. I consider Jeff part of my family, and I deeply respect the work that he's done to get PSI where it is today. On behalf of the student body, I would like to say that we are so grateful for all that you do. So thank you for everything, Jeff.
So hello all. I think, as you know, I think you all know I'm retiring this year. It's an odd thing still to say, but that's the plan. And I tend to spend a lot of my time working with our younger students. So most of you, although I interact all the time, I didn't really. It wasn't so much the teacher-student. Teacher-learner relationship this year, so I didn't really feel that I was the guy to give any speeches, and of course I would have had to arm wrestle people for it. But I really do want you to know how deeply you've touched me over the last 2 years that I've been lucky enough to be at PSI. It's been a big part of my career, and I mean. Heck, I've been teaching for more than 30 years now, and I've worked with a lot of wonderful people, and I've worked with a lot of wonderful students in all kinds of roles. But this has been a very special time for me. I know where education needs to go, and when I see a room full of people like this, and like this, my hope for the future is. In a good place. I know it's an odd year. It's easy to get a little concerned about things, pandemics and little things like that. But we'll get through that because we have people like you. So thanks for giving me a moment, Jeff. I appreciate it, and all best, hey?
Well, that just about concludes our ceremony for the day. It just wouldn't be a grad in pandemic if I didn't talk to you about how to walk around a room, so I'm going to do that again. I'm sorry. I think what we'll do is, I know that people may want to take some pictures, and I also know that we're figuring out the whole how do you take a picture with social distancing and all of that, but the grounds are nice, the skies have cleared up, it's cooperating with us a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll start with people, I think, just at the back because they're closest to the door, and if they want, when you're ready to go, you can just go right out the back doors, and we'll just sort of, when you see the row before you go, the next one can go, and we'll just do it like that so that everybody's got their distancing. Before we do go, though, I just want to thank everybody. That was a great ceremony. I don't like ceremonies very much. I don't know if you noticed, but that was great, and I really enjoyed it. It was lovely to get the learner speeches, the perspective back at us, right back at us. Thanks very much. It was beautiful, and congratulations, you graduated. Thanks to everyone online as well. And this is recorded, so you can watch it again later, over and over. See ya. Thanks.